Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we're super happy to have you here. And if you've been listening and enjoying for a while, I would be super grateful if you would please take a moment to give us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's one of the best and simplest ways to pay it forward and help others find the show so that they too can tap into the powerful perspectives and positive vibrations we are collectively emanating. The other unique and magical way to share this show is by sending any friends you think would benefit from listening to this podcast our Game with the Universe link at positivehead.com/game. Also listed in the show notes, which will serve them up a quote-unquote random episode when they click it. Just instruct them before clicking the link to close their eyes for a moment and sincerely ask the universe to queue up the episode that contains the insight and perspectives that they most need to hear at this point in their life journey, and then click to listen to whatever episode is synchronistically served up to them. I have heard time and time again from people about the incredible results they received playing the game. So just tell your friends magical results are guaranteed or their karma back. All right, all you positive heads, welcome back. welcome to the show. There you go. I haven't done that in a while. A little welcome to the show song. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome for the welcome to the show song. Here we go again. So happy to be with you guys and to connect and to collectively raise one another's vibration, share. You're all beautiful soul family. Thank you for being. And I'm going to jump right in here with a review, short but sweet, on iTunes by Pibe04. Pibe04 said, "My recent spiritual search brought me to this great podcast, one of the best spiritual podcasts I've heard, and I've heard many." Aw, thank you, Pibe. Thank you so much for that. That definitely helps to fuel my fire to hear that I'm doing a good job here. The interviewees are doing a good job. The co-hosts are doing a good job. You guys are definitely doing a good job helping to fuel my fire by writing these reviews and helping us to reach new people. So if you haven't done so, please do so on iTunes. It will help us to reach new listeners. And you're effectively helping to spread the positivity. For that matter, please share on social media with your family, friends, anyone that you think would benefit. It means a lot. You never know who you're going to touch, the butterfly effect, right? You might share with someone and it changes their world. And then next thing you know, their child ends up replacing Donald Trump 10 presidencies from now, or 5 or whatever. And they end up being like the greatest leader in the history of our planet. Who knows? Anything can happen. Anything impossible. Anything is possible. This is just a dream, right? It's a beautiful dream. And you can also find us on Google Play now. Of course, other places like SoundCloud and so forth. If you guys have questions, please send questions in. I get to those quite a bit. I love hearing your questions, answering your questions. You can send them to Brandon at positivehead.com. You can submit them through the positivehead.com website as well. And love that. And also connect with us on the Facebook group, Positive Heads with an S. Lots of listeners are connecting, sharing, supporting. It's really, really a beautiful thing to see. I love seeing it. It does my heart so good. I'm like, I don't know. It's just like a proud papa to see some of them starting their own podcast. Guys, check out the Goddess Collective from Nixie the Pixie, who's a co-host. She just launched a podcast, and go check that out. It is beautiful. She is beautiful. And let's see. So what we're going to do today, we're going to continue with the power of awareness here. And we've started that in recent episodes. I've recorded several of these in one day because I'm traveling a lot. And this seemed like a really good way to bring quality content and to read a book that I've wanted to read at the same time and to share that experience with you guys. And of course, I'm going to have thoughts, feedback, feelings about what I'm reading. So I get to do that as well. And so where we left off, and by the way, I chose this book, The Power of Awareness by Neville. It was written in 1952. It's a classic, and I chose it because you can really pick up anywhere, and it doesn't really matter where. If you haven't heard the past episodes, that's fine. You can certainly go back to the beginning and start listening from chapter 1. We're on chapter 16 at the moment, so that's the great thing about it. It is a great book you can pick up from anywhere. So, chapter 16. Let's do this. Personal impotence. Self-surrender is essential, and by that is meant the confession of personal impotence. I can of mine own self do nothing. Since creation is finished, it is impossible to force anything into being. The example of magnetism previously given is a good illustration. You cannot make magnetism, it can only be displayed. You cannot make the law of magnetism. If you want to build a magnet, you can do so only by conforming to the law of magnetism. In other words, you surrender yourself or yield to the law. In like manner, when you use the faculty of assumption, you are conforming to a law just as real as the law governing magnetism. You can neither create nor change the law of assumption. It is in this respect that you are impotent. You can only yield or conform. And since all of your experiences are the result of your assumptions, consciously or unconsciously, the value of consciously using the power of assumption surely must be obvious. Willingly identify yourself with that which you most desire, knowing that it will find expression through you. Yield to the feeling of the wish fulfilled and be consumed as its victim. Then rise as the prophet of the law of assumption. I love that. It's so poetic, right? Rise as the prophet of the law of assumption. What an interesting, fascinating thing to ponder, though, right? It is impossible. Since creation is finished, right? Eternity is now. All things have played out and are playing out now simultaneously. So it's finished. It's impossible to force anything into being. You are going to get into vibrational alignment with the unfolding of something that you want to experience. And the confidence that should give you is to know that Source through you has experienced this thing that you desire that you currently don't see, because it plays it all out. It is infinite. Although creation isn't happening, it is an endless, boundless sea of existence with all possibilities within it. So you're just shifting into the version that you want to see, right? Fascinating. Chapter 17. All things are possible. Kind of like what we were just saying, right? It is of great significance that the truth of the principles outlined in this book have been proven time and again by the personal experiences of the author. Throughout the past 25 years, he has applied these principles and proven them successful in innumerable instances. He attributes to an unwavering assumption of his wish already being fulfilled every success that he has achieved. He was confident that by these fixed assumptions, his desires were predestined to be fulfilled. Time and again, he assumed the feeling of his wish fulfilled and continued in his assumption until that which he desired was completely realized. Live your life in a sublime spirit of confidence and determination. Disregard appearances, conditions, in fact, all evidence of your senses that deny the fulfillment of your desire. I love that. Disregard it. Stop looking externally at what's going on out there. That's just a reflection from some previous vibrational offering. Don't look at that for cues. Okay. And onward. Rest in the assumption that you are already what you want to be. For in that determined assumption, you and your infinite being are merged in creative unity, and with your infinite being, God, all things are possible. God never fails. For who can stay his hand or say unto him, what dost thou? Through the mastery of your assumption, you are in very truth enabled. Through the mastery of your assumptions, you are in very truth enabled to master life. It is thus that the ladder of life is ascended. Thus the ideal is realized. The clue to the real purpose of life is to surrender yourself to your ideal with such awareness of its reality that you begin to live the life of the ideal and no longer your own life as it was prior to this surrender. He calleth things that are not seen as though they were, and the unseen become seen. Each assumption has its corresponding world. If you are truly observant, you will notice the power of your assumptions to change circumstances which appear wholly immutable. You, by your conscious assumptions, determine the nature of the world in which you live. Ignore the present state and assume the wish fulfilled. Claim it. It will respond. The law of assumption is the means by which the fulfillment of your desires may be realized. Every moment of your life, consciously or unconsciously, you are assuming a feeling. You can no more avoid assuming a feeling than you can avoid eating and drinking. All you can do is control the nature of your assumptions. Thus, it is clearly seen that the control of your assumption is the key you now hold to an ever-expanding, happier, more noble life. Very, very, all things are possible. It's all there. It's all happened. And, people will say, okay, well, I did it. I tried this and it didn't work. Now what? Continue trying. Continue putting these desires, these assumptions out there, right? And if it's not coming in the time or the way that you want, this is what we need to learn to balance. This is how we need to learn to let go and not need it to show up a certain way. This is sort of the dance that's so delicate, right? Putting it out there and then letting go. Telling the story. Keep telling the story. Play off what's happened and lead your assumption down another road. It will ultimately bend to your will. The problem is what happens is a lot of times we think we're assuming and we're offering a clear vibrational offering, but we're offering mixed signals and we get mixed results. And that's the truth of it. So when you can understand it will ultimately work. And if it's not appearing in a way that you think it should be, continue working on it. Continue practicing building your muscles, right? Your muscle of assumption, so to speak. All right. Chapter 18. Be ye doers. This is it starts with a little Bible verse here from James 1:22-25. Be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. For if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is likened to a man beholding his natural face in a glass, and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was. But whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty, and continue therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed. The word in this quotation means idea, concept, or desire. You deceive yourself by hearing only, when you expect your desire to be fulfilled through mere wishful thinking. Your desire is what you want to be, and looking at yourself in a glass is seeing yourself in imagination as that person. Forgetting what manner of man you are is failing to persist in your assumption. The perfect law of liberty is the law which makes possible liberation from limitation. That is the law of assumption. To continue in the perfect law of liberty is to persist in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. You are not a forgetful hearer when you keep the feeling of your wish fulfilled constantly alive in your consciousness. This makes you a doer of the work, and you are blessed in your deed by the inevitable realization of your desire. You must be doers of the law of assumption, for without application, the most profound understanding will not produce any desired result. Frequent reiteration and repetition of important basic truths run through these pages. Where the law of assumption is concerned, the law that sets men free, this is a good thing. It should be made clear again and again, even at the risk of repetition. The real truth seeker will welcome this aid in concentrating his attention upon the law which sets him free. I love that, because that's what we do a lot on the show, right? Repetition, repetition. The parable of the master's condemnation of the servant who neglected to use the talent given him is clear and unmistakable. Having discovered within yourself the key to the treasure house, you should be like the good servant who, by wise use multiplied by many times the talents entrusted to him. The talent entrusted to you is the power to consciously determine your assumption. The talent not used, like the limb not exercised, withers and finally atrophies. What you must strive after is being. In order to do, it is necessary to be. The end of yearning is to be. Your concept of yourself can only be driven out of consciousness by another concept of yourself. By creating an ideal in your mind, you can identify yourself with it until you become one and the same with the ideal, thereby transforming yourself into it. The dynamic prevails over the static, the active over the passive. One who is a doer is magnetic and therefore infinitely more creative than any who merely hear. Be among the doers. I love that. The end of yearning is to be. Just be it. Just be it. That is like, be it to see it, right? It is the way. It is like you hear it all the time. Just be. My initials are BBB. I wonder if I was trying to tell myself something. Chapter 19, final chapter for today. It's called Essentials. The essential points in the successful use of the law of assumption are these. First, and above all, yearning, longing, intense burning, and desire. With all your heart, you must want to be different from what you are. Intense, burning desire is the mainspring of action, the beginning of all successful ventures. In every great passion, desire is concentrated. As the heart panteth after the water brooks, so panteth my soul after thee, O God. Blessed are they that hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Here, the soul is interpreted as the sum total of all you believe, think, feel, and accept as true. In other words, your present level of awareness. God means I am, the source and fulfillment of all desire. This quotation describes how your present level of awareness longs to transcend itself. Righteousness is the consciousness of already being what you want to be. Second, cultivate physical immobility, a physical incapacity not unlike the state described by Keats in his Ode to a Nightingale. A drowsy numbness pains my senses, as though of hemlock I had drunk. It is a state akin to sleep, but one in which you are still in control of the direction of attention. You must learn to induce this state at will. But experience has taught that it is more easily induced after a substantial meal or when you wake in the morning feeling very loath to arise. Then you are naturally disposed to enter this state. The value of physical immobility shows itself in the accumulation of mental force which absolute stillness brings with it, and increases your power of concentration. Be still and know that I am God. He's essentially talking about meditating here, right? Maybe they didn't use the word meditation in 1952. I don't know. In fact, the greater energies of the mind seldom break forth, save when the body is stilled and the door of the senses closed to the objective world. The third and last thing to do is to experience in your imagination what you would experience in reality had you achieved your goal. So he's saying basically get in that meditative state and then sort of start using your imagination, visualization skills, right? I've heard it said how much more powerful visualization is when you are in that state. Think of it like, right now as you're awake and driving or whatever you're doing, as you imagine something and, certainly that's helpful, but think of how, your energy is like an ocean with waves rolling on it and so forth. When you're meditating, it's a calm lake. Think of the difference of the waves throwing a pebble into an ocean, right? Or the shoreline where the waves are breaking and lots of energy and lots of things happening. And how many ripples, how far does that reach? Now think of being very, very still, a calm pond without a single ripple. And then you throw a rock in it, how far those ripples go. I think this is a really good analogy, really good way to kind of visualize this visualization process, right? Imagine that you possess a quality to something you desire which hereto has not been yours. Surrender yourself completely to this feeling until your whole being is possessed by it. Really drum up the vibration, he's saying, right? Get possessed by this thing, by what you want, the feeling of it. This state differs from reverie in this respect. It is a result of a controlled imagination and a steadied, concentrated attention, whereas reverie is the result of an uncontrolled imagination, usually just a daydream. In the controlled state, a minimum of effort suffices to keep your consciousness filled with the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The physical and mental immobility of this state is a powerful aid to voluntary attention and a major factor of minimum effort. The application of these 3 points: 1. Desire. 2. Physical immobility. 3. The assumption of the wish already fulfilled is the way to at-one-ment or union with your objective. One of the most prevalent misunderstandings is that this law works only for those having a devout or a religious objective. This is a fallacy. It works just as impersonally as the law of electricity works. It can be used for greedy, selfish purposes as well as noble ones. But it should always be borne in mind that ignoble thoughts and actions inevitably result in unhappy consequences. All right, everyone. Well, yeah, that's some good stuff, isn't it? We are out of time for this episode, and as we're going through the power of awareness, as you've heard before, if you've been listening, I'm mixing it up a bit. Instead of leaving you with a song, I'm actually ending each episode with a nano tap with the lovely Sonia Sophia from the World Tapping Circle. This one is called Forgiving the Fury.
Hi, beautiful person. This nano tap is called Forgiving the Fury. If you get furious or are holding on to rage or anger, you're going to love this tap. This is a quick little nano tap to help you forgive the fury and release some of that anger and rage. Massaging the front of your chest. Big deep breath. Tuning in to what is there for you. Even though part of me feels furious inside, I'm open to loving and accepting myself. Tap the eyebrows, continue to repeat after me. Even though part of me feels furious inside, I'm open to loving and accepting myself. Tap the temples. This fury. Big soft breath, tuning in to that rage, that anger inside you. Tap the cheeks. I'm so angry. Tap under the nose. I'm so angry. I'm so pissed. Big deep breath. Make some sound. Tap the chest. Even though I feel all this anger and rage inside me about, and say what it is that you feel angry about. I feel like a growl would be good right there, don't you? Tap the front of the rib cage. This anger. Big, noisy breath again. Tapping the side of the ribs. This anger. Tap the inside of the wrist. Even though I feel angry about this, I'm open to loving and accepting myself. Top of the head. I don't have to let go of this anger. Tap the side of the head. I don't expect tapping on my head to make this rage go away. Big deep breath, snarl. Tap the eyebrows. This anger. Tap the temples. I'm angry that what? Tap the cheeks. Say it again. This is your moment to complain. Ready? I'm angry that. Go. Tapping under the nose. This anger. Tap under the lips. I have every right to feel this way. Say it 3 times. I have every right to feel this way. I have every right to feel this way. I have every right to feel this way. Tap your chest. Big deep breath. This anger is trying to protect me. Tap the front of the ribs. This anger is trying to protect me and instigate some change. Okay, side of the ribs. This anger is trying to help me get moving. Big deep breath. Tap the inside of the wrist. I forgive myself for being angry at myself for being angry. Up to the top of the head. I accept this anger and rage. Tap the eyebrows exactly as it is. Do your best to just accept that intense feeling without trying to change it or judge it or blame it. Tap the temples. This remaining anger about. And say what that is and breathe. Tap the front of the cheeks. I'm open to loving and accepting myself, even with this anger exactly as it is. Tap under the nose, accepting that rage for just 1 more minute. Tapping under the lips. Notice how you feel now. Did that take it down a notch? If not, rewind this. Do it for a couple more minutes and see what happens. You might find that peace is closer than you think.